Joining me on the programme, Jonathan Davis, the economist and wealth advisor. Hi, Jonathan. Good morning.
Morning, Vanessa.
Nice to talk to you. I haven't spoken to you for a while now. Is Justin Whelby onto something here? He thinks inequality needs to be rectified. One of the ways to do that is to tax the hell out of the rich.
There's no question that over the last 20, 30 years, inequality has absolutely soared. Before the great financial recession in 2008, something like the top 10% owned 80% of the stock market. Now the top 10% owns 85% of a very greatly increased stock market. House prices, of course, have soared, so if you're in the housing market, you've done extremely well. If you're out of housing, you have, in effect, lost wealth. So there's no question there is huge inequality, but raising taxes and giving money to people for nothing is not the answer.
Tell me why it's not the answer. I mean, some people will say if you come from nothing, your parents, we always hear about this bank of mum and dad. If there's nothing in that bank and you're given a starter kind of like seed money, as they call it, of 10,000 quid, that's your start. From that, you can build a life. Without that, you really are in trouble.
You know, in the late 1970s, a certain Margaret Thatcher put forward a series of policies of liberalisation, of privatisation, of reining in spending, of reducing taxes, and the establishment absolutely laid into her. And look how prosperous the UK was in the 1980s for those who wanted to get involved. We became a beacon of light throughout the whole world. Then today you look at Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong. There are example after example of where free markets, low spending, low taxation, capitalism shows the way to increase prosperity for the many, not for the few. The problem is, everyone says that we are a capitalist country. Nothing could be further from the truth. And many of your listeners will be surprised by my next statement. We should not have bailed out the banks, specifically the bankers, in 2008 and 2009. That is one prime example of socialism for the rich, and there is a particular reason why we have massive inequality. Because whatever growth we're getting, and for the last decade we've had a paltry 1 or 2% per annum GDP growth, the bulk of it has been going to the rich and the super rich. So what we need is lower taxes, lower regulations, lower spending, and certainly stop boosting house prices with this ridiculous Help to Buy scheme, which is communistic and ghastly, because that has boosted house prices, increased inequality. So in other words,
let me stop you there. I wouldn't want to, but unfortunately I have to. This is Jonathan Davis, the economist and wealth manager. Obviously,